Shout out to USARK and all USARK members. If you don't know what USARK is, don't be ashamed. Just go ahead and click the third link in the description below. See what USARK is all about, okay? You never know when legislations are going to hit your backyard, so that's why it's very important to consider becoming a USARK member today. These numbers really do matter, and they look at it for consideration when it comes to battling legislation. So first and foremost, thank you, Phil Goss. Thank you to anybody out there who partners up and volunteers with USARK organization. Thank you for anyone out there who's a USARK member. And if you can't become a USARK member today, please talk about it on your platforms. Let your neighbors know, let all your pet stores know what USARK is here for, and it's here to fight for our animal rights. Thank you to every USARK member and USARK supporter out there.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world, episode 648 on the Treat Tuesday, the return of the real Scrub King, Stephen Kush. Got a lot to talk about with my man, Stephen. One for the books tonight, man. I'm telling you guys are in for a treat. I'm your boy, MJ, though, man. Do me a favor, get the likes up, especially if you're into the Scrub game, man. If that's one of the things you love, then definitely get the likes up right now and hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. Of course, with me, Marshall Mendez.
Hey.
How wasted do you think? How wasted do you think Bill is right now on the airplane?
Hopefully he's watching us. Hopefully he's watching us.
He doesn't go. I'm sure he doesn't fly cheap, especially on a European flight. He has to have Wi-Fi. He has to be watching this.
Yeah, he's got a nice bottle of wine sitting next to his sitting in his cup holder. I'm sure.
I don't think they cut him off.
Maybe two.
I don't think they cut you off in first class either. I think as long as you're acting okay, they keep it flowing, from what I know. But anyways, man, we're gonna miss Bill.
For sure.
Hey,
Yeah.
What's going on with you, buddy?
I'm sure he's having a great time.
How are you?
Oh man, good. Just plugging along. Hatched 2 ball pythons this week, and that's about it. That's about it since the last time.
2 clutches or 2 eggs hatched?
No, just 2 eggs.
Wow. What was the pairing?
They're both nice though. I got their two Confusion Clown head ultras. I got 1.1.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
not gonna complain about it.
Yeah.
Maybe the last ball pythons that ever hatch in here. Who knows? We'll see.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was like, how many more ball python clutches do you even have? Maybe
you can see the rack behind me. Like every episode, it keeps getting less and less animals in it. So
wow,
I've still got I've still got about 50 or so, but slowly whittling it down.
You have nothing
hard to.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's just getting now to the point where it's hard to pick something to sell. Cause I want, I've kind of got to decide, it's like, I'm still want to trim it down, but it's like, trying to focus and, with only 10 animals, man, there's only so much room and so much you can do. So trying to pick the right ones to keep.
For somebody who's actually seen your collection in person, you do have some pretty nice ultra milk combos and like some good incomplete dominant hets, like we were just talking about with other recessives in it. So yeah, I get it, man. Must be tough. I bet it feels good though too.
It does, man. Like workload's already down, less rodents. I've got about cut the rodents down by 1/3, and I could probably go another 1/3. So I'll probably do that here this week because I've got producing too many right now. So I think that I can honestly feed the Chondro collection with, the arboreal stuff. If I got rid of the ball python, even if I kept a small number of ball pythons, I could do with 25% of the capacity that I have for rats or less.
Yeah, and that's already scaled down quite a bit as well, right? The rats, from what you said.
Yeah, I mean, I've scaled. I've got about a third. I've been kind of just doing it by level, or by tub, and I've got about a third of them empty. That big one, the big one with the big, the one that flooded when you were here the first time. I use like one of those tubs every week, and that's it. The other 3 are already empty. So yeah, I'm trimming it down. Feels good to have that, to not, because if it's getting to where it felt like work, and when it feels like work for me, it's not why I don't want it to feel like work. I want this to be like, I want to be excited about coming down here and excited about, working with the animals, excited about it. And when you just have to do it and there's so many and it just becomes a grind, it just becomes not as much fun.
Yeah. Tomorrow's my rat day. Go figure. So it's cool to be back in the rat.
How's that going for you? Good.
I mean, ever since I put AC in that shed and got it basically insulated and all that, it's a lot easier now because now I have the door shut and I don't forget. I was forgetting to shut them at night. It was just a mess. Like, it was just fucking not working. It was just not working out. But also too, like, I just was overflowing the bins. I think I had too many. I think my colonies were too big. I think on the rats where they were chewing out like and I think because they weren't feeling it. Ever since I thinned everything down, I haven't had any chew outs. Thank God.
Really?
Yeah. But also,
they're chewing on? Didn't you told me you got a Freedom Breeder rack, right?
No, so I got an ARS rack. So they sent ARS. I got the wrong one. They sent me the wrong one. Now, it was a pain in the ass. It's not nobody's fault really. It's some small mistake, but I just sent the one back, and now I'm waiting to get a.
Well, they should. Your chew outs ought to stop when you get that.
Yeah, of course. That's why it's kind of like I have to work with what I have for right now because it is what it is. But mind you, just like a Freedom Breeder rack, I'll never go back to anything else. Like, once you go that professional rack system, and then it's just worth it too, especially with rodents. Like, nobody who has time for chew outs. Nobody does. It's terrible.
Man. Those homemade racks and like the concrete tubs from Home Depot. I'm assuming is that what you're using? Like a wood rack with the with the black. Yeah. Those things are so. I don't think I've ever had a tub not get chewed out of when I had one of those.
And they're not hard to break either. So I mean, if they're not hard to break, then you imagine not hard to chew through. And that's why
they have. I guess the you have to make the rack just perfectly, otherwise the lip overhangs a little bit, and once they get something to chew on, it's over with.
And that's the problem with this rack. It's not made perfect where that lip it's accessible. Like, they could get it.
Yeah.
But it's only if they need a reason to. That's what I'm saying. If you keep them occupied with like good food and water, and it's not overcrowded, they won't look to chew for anything, from what I've seen so far. But trust me, I'm on edge. Every fucking morning I go in there waiting to see something that's and I have, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy when you go to my shed. There's traps everywhere, bro. Like, it's like all you see is neon green because I got those sticky traps.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I overlapped them where like they don't move. So like, because these fucking rats are so strong, bro. Like, these rats could easily fucking rip off those sticky things if it's like loose,
Yeah.
But if you harness the fucking sticky traps down somehow, and they can't move, they're fucked. And so, but I haven't had one chew out in well over 2 weeks, thank God. So I think I'm okay for now. Just gotta wait for that other rack. So what a chore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do just ASFs? Gonna feed everything ASFs?
No, I'm doing rats. I'm doing like
you're doing rats. Okay.
Yeah. Just like I'm doing mostly ASFs, and then I have like 3 colony of a rat or 4 colony of rats, and which is like I have 1.4 in each bin.
You'll make a lot with that.
I'm getting a lot. Like, that's why it's becoming work, because now the production is fucking pretty flowing right now. So now I have to put wean bins aside and like all that.
Are you using all of them or not?
Oh, fuck yeah. I mean, I don't have it.
Using all the rodents?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah. I don't even have enough yet to like start feeding like on a regular basis. I'm almost there.
Oh, okay.
But I'm still getting, like, this was the first week I haven't ordered rats in a long time. Because
it takes a minute. It takes several months. I don't know about ASFs. I've never had any, but The rats, it takes a few months to get things, up and running, at full capacity.
If you got the right diet for the ASFs in the right environment, they could grow a lot quicker than people say they grow. But the rats are fast. They're well, compared to the ASFs, they grow a lot quicker. So, so got Stephen Kush back tonight. I'm excited. Listen, when Bill's away, there's other species we like to play with on this episode. So we got a lot of scrub talk going down with Stephen tonight. But then also, I don't know if you knew this, Stephen is back into the Green Street Python game. Did you know that?
Oh shit, I did not know that.
He fucking is, dude. So I want to know. We're gonna grill him a little bit. What's his game plan? He's been through the ringer, dude. He has stories. We'll talk about it tonight. So as soon as we get the scrub talk, I don't want to say out of the way.
Out of the way.
I'm just saying. He's shaking his head right now, but we're gonna get down to the Green Tree Python talk. So yeah, guys, you guys are in for a treat. Shout out to everyone who's tapping in right now. I just want to remind you guys, you could listen to a new episode every day of the week here on the Trap Talk Reptile Network. That's right. And you can also listen to all these episodes on all major audio platforms: Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, all the major audio platforms. So wherever you listen to any of these episodes, first and foremost, thank you. And also don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on all of those platforms as well. If you want to support what I have going on further than just watching these episodes, please come join the Trap Talk Patreon family. You can do that by clicking the very first link in the description below, connect in the Discord, and there's an amazing Instagram group chat. We've got trappers from all over the world and an awesome Instagram group chat, 24/7 pop-in. Trap Fest is also right around the corner. We'll definitely be talking about Trap Fest tonight with Steven. But anyways, yeah, guys, come join the Trap Talk Patreon family. And I do want to shout out to tonight's sponsor, one of those sponsors being Brian Susan over at Sundown Reptiles. If you're looking to get into the tree monitor game, Gohuas, Gargoyle Geckos, Abronia, make sure you head over to sundownreptiles.com and also check them out on Instagram. Real, true, high-quality captive bred animals by this guy right here, doing it the best when it comes to these species of reptiles. And check them out. Thank you so much, Brian Susan over at Sundown Reptiles. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Gary Scavino over at GS Reptiles. Type in GS Reptiles on YouTube and subscribe to my man's YouTube channel. I have a feeling of vlogs coming here in the near future, so definitely going to want to hit that notification bell and follow Gary's Instagram account to stay on top of anything that he might have available. He also has a Morph Market account as well. So all the links in the description below. Shout out to Gary. But yeah, you ready to get rolling and get Steven on the show or what, Marshall?
Yeah, man, let's do it. Let's go.
All right. You guys are in for a treat. Stephen Kush, the real Scrub King, his return on All in the Treat Tuesday. Do me a favor. Do what you got to do to get your mind right. Do what you got to do to stay hydrated. Episode 648, Stephen Kush, All in the Treat Tuesday, coming at you right now. Let's go. Sure.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, God love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up, rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up, rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up, rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
And we're live. His return, Stephen Kush, the real Scrub King. How you doing, sir?
What's going on,
There it
guys?
is.
Thank you for having me.
What's up, man?
I'm sure Bill would have loved to be here, but he's out in a plane, hammered. Okay, so
Must be nice.
but yeah, dude, what's good, Steven? You've been a busy guy. First
Sure.
and foremost, every Wednesday you can catch Kush's Corner. The guy doesn't miss. Even has pre-records down.
Yep.
Been a busy guy, dude. So I just want to say shout out to you killing it on a weekly basis.
Thank you.
Want to talk about a little update with what's happening with all the scrubs right now. Let's kind of get into either what's already hatched, what's about to hatch, what hasn't laid yet. Let's update the people.
So it's been an interesting year. I feel like everyone except for MJ has been having a strange year with breeding. But I mean, stuff went so much later this year than normal, and ultimately did not have as good of a season as I did last year, which sucks, but what are you going to do? But I guess I'm made up for that by getting 2 new localities or species under the belt. First one being the Halmaheras or Halmahera singular, hatched out a couple weeks ago. And then actually, as of last night, I have a clutch of Aru scrubs hatching, which are definitely the first ones produced in the U.S., maybe the first in the world outside of Indonesia. Wow. I've heard rumors of a clutch that allegedly hatched in Europe. Never seen any pictures or anything, and definitely none that are left if that pairing did happen. So that's really cool. Probably for me, my favorite breeding I've ever done of any reptile ever so far.
You haven't posted any of those yet, I'm assuming?
Just the story this morning with the little one poking its head out of the egg. So like nothing official yet, but yeah. Wow. They're coming, so.
Now I know Ryan Young has Aru scrubs, right? Or who?
I don't think Ryan has.
Go ahead.
I don't think Ryan has Arus. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't. At this point, I think it's just me, and then 2 wild-caught males were imported by Fascination a few months ago, and I know one of the guys who got one of them. Wow. So that's really it.
Damn, man. And how many eggs? How many eggs in that Aru clutch?
So there were 9 eggs, which was a little surprising. It was a big female. She's about 11 and a half feet long, and she only had 9 eggs, but they were perfect.
Nice.
And so far, I think 3 of them are out right now, but all 9 have good living babies in them. They all look big. They all look like they've absorbed their yolk and everything. So I expect all 9 to come out normal.
How different do those look than the other scrubs you've produced? I mean, you can tell right when they come out as babies that they're what they are, or are they kind of just that brown red color?
So kind of interesting because up until this morning, I don't think any of us really knew what baby Aru scrubs actually looked like.
Okay.
But they looked about how I expected them to. Might be able to like upload some pictures onto the stream here.
Yeah.
But
is that a distinct species, or is it a subspecies, or just locality, or what?
So, I mean, currently they are a locality of Somalia amethystina, which is the large species that kind of encapsulates most of the scrub pythons. But they're pretty unique in some ways, and in other ways very similar to the other scrub pythons. They kind of how I like to describe them to people, they look like an orange diamond python. So imagine a diamond python pattern and just overlay it with an orange and purple filter. And that's an Aru scrub. They have like, smaller diamond patterns throughout their body, really unique look within scrub pythons. And then kind of like orange with like a purplish tail. So they're one of the most beautiful, if not maybe the most beautiful scrub python out there. I think they rival Moluccans, and what kind of I think may give them the edge on Moluccans is that they keep getting better with age, where Moluccans start to dirty out a little bit by the time they hit like 5 years old.
Depending on the Moluccan, case by case.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that.
For sure, yeah.
Because you have your golden boy, the one that's like.
Yeah, but like before he goes into shed, he'll be kind of more brown, and then he sheds and he's like solid gold over the next few months. Kind of
goes back. Yeah, you're right. It's never as good after that next morning when the shed's off. It's like that's where you take them outside and get those shots. You feel me?
Exactly.
Now I got to ask you, the Highlands are orange, aren't they? Like, I could have sworn you showed off some Highlands that were like really impressive as well, like the Arus.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got a clutch of those in 2023, and a couple of them, one in particular, is just like a screaming orange animal. So yeah, it's kind of interesting if you look at the like geography of southern scrub pythons, like the most northern part of the range, you got orange, then you have like the brown and tan individuals, and then the islands down south, you get orange again. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I remember we did a facility tour years back. Like this is back when you were in Indianapolis, and you were showing me these. I mean, I want to say maybe this is the Aru that produced for you. Maybe I mean because you I don't know if it was the exact Aru, but they were small. Like they weren't big. Like they were young, and so you had the actual sire and dam that went for you. You raised those up, or were they already adults when you got them?
So I got all of my Arus in 2019. The female, she was probably like 3 to 4 years old when I got her. The male probably like 3 as well. I got some younger animals at the time too that I still have now that I raised up as well. So yeah, this female, she put me through the ringer. She the last 3 years prior to this season developed follicles, bred everything, and then reabsorbed 3 freaking years in a row. And this is finally the year that she decided that it was time to actually go through with the process. So she made me.
This is a wild caught baby that you've raised, or this is what like?
Yeah, they're all wild caught, but yeah, this particular female was about 3 years old when I got her.
Okay.
So this is a world's first right here, Marshall. Right?
Not technically world's first, but like
United States first.
Outside of their native range first, pretty much. Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of stressed it. I ball python reader. My bad. No, okay, because Stephen, obviously you have your hands in multiple different species.
Sure.
Well, in reptiles, period, but especially in scrubs, right? And you've already had different species of scrubs lay clutches for you. But I noticed there have been good clutches and bad clutches, and I know that happens with anything. But
sure.
What is it coming down to when you're noticing a clutch that doesn't give you healthy eggs? Like, what do you point it to in your head, or what do you chalk it up to?
Man, honestly, at this point, I can't say for sure. I think it probably has a lot to do with the female's preparedness before the season, even like before the cool down period. And then, so what I'm starting to notice is that with all these scrubs, the first year that these females are of a sexually mature age, they'll go through a cycle, they'll develop follicles, they'll go through all the motions, they'll even breed at times, and like 95% of the time they reabsorb their follicles. It almost seems to me like they'd like take a year to like prime themselves before they actually end up going. It'll be interesting to see with the captive bred animals if that happens at a younger age or only 1 year of that, and then they go the next year, where like this female did it 3 times to me before she actually laid her clutch. And particularly like this year, having captive bred males for barnecks that were of breeding size, like they were on the females immediately. There was no messing around. Like I could tell already they're far better breeders than the wild caughts for the most part across the board. I have some pretty good wild caught males, but then some that are kind of hesitant breeders as well. And like my young captive bred females, like the ones that I produced in 2020, the 3 that I held on to, they all cycled this year. None of them laid, but they all developed, pretty decent size, probably over 20 millimeter follicles, and reabsorbed them. So to me,
are you ultrasounding them, or are you just palpating, or how are you?
All palpating. I've tried the ultrasound in the past, and it just confused me more than anything else. But I've gotten pretty good at palpating over the years. I was lucky that like one of my first reptile mentors showed me how to do it when I was like 12 years old. So
ultrasounding scrubs does not sound fun at all.
I've done it a few times, and it really would depend on the female. But honestly, it went a lot better than you might think it would. The worst part about it would be like putting the probe there, and then like her tail 3 feet over here grabs the machine, and then she pulls her entire body back to the machine, and is now like has 5 foot of snake wrapped around the damn ultrasound. So
and the cords and the cables and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
And that KY jelly shit goes everywhere.
little volcano. That
I kind of think of scrubs as like an Amazon tree boa on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a really oversized kind of
And
thicker,
the
little bit
Neanderthal
body
version.
Amazon. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Very
Just
thick.
wiring and alert.
Yeah. The way their visual acuity is very comparable to that of Amazon's, 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. Kind of going back though to overall, I don't know. Do you feel like you're getting more fertile, viable eggs than bad eggs overall on an average from any scrub clutch, or is it just super hit or miss? Like, well, how can you really feel about?
Yeah. How I feel is if I think about it too hard, I want to run into traffic. But no, I mean, like my overall fertility rate with scrubs in my 6 years of breeding them is well under 50%. They seem to have kind of these issues with breeding, and maybe that just has to do with a lot of these females being wild caught. Like maybe once captive bred females, I have a bunch of captive bred females. I just have very few that are of adult size right now. Yeah. Maybe in 4 years, my fertility issue will be gone just on account of having mostly captive bred females.
When you say fertility rate, fertility issues, you're talking about eggs laid versus slugs or
actual viable eggs?
All of the above. Yeah. Slugs, fully formed, empty eggs, babies dead in egg. All of the above.
Full term, so a lot of full term dead?
Yeah, I would say maybe half of the clutches that I have at least one full term dead baby.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, but like when you have like 3 clutches in a row hatch out and you're like, all right, I got 8 good eggs, and then it's like I got 6 babies. It's like, that gets kind of old quickly.
You're right. And because at some point you want to shoot for 100 or get as close to 100 as you can.
Well, and the thing is, like, it'll just happen. Like my first scrub clutch was 100% fertility. I had one last year that was I think only my second 100% fertility with my Wamina clutch. And then these Arus were 100% fertility. So like just very random. And I can't necessarily like link anything to all 3 that was different than the other ones.
How are you keeping them? Are you keeping them ambient? Are you ambient temps? You got
honestly like almost identical to like chondro husbandry. Yeah, like ambient most of the time. And then like a cool season down into like the low 70s, upper 60s at night, kind of more normal temp during the day. And then like once females start developing follicles, I'll give them a hot spot in the mid 80s. And then once they're like right about at that ovulation point, I'll bump it up to about 90 and then, kind of ride it out like that. So yeah, really pretty standard Python husbandry procedure. Nothing too crazy different than anything else.
Now, I don't know. I forgot who it was. Might have been Andrew back in the day to tell me that, you got to feed scrubs almost like retics to get them to go. Like it's like it all depends on the food intake. And this was a long time ago. This was like about 4 years ago probably. And then after he said that, I want to say maybe about a year ago, I had Nick Mutton on the show, and then Nick Mutton was on this huge rant about like no scrub should be big. That's crazy, blah blah blah. And so, and then you have Ryan, who's like he's kind of more in the middle. You know what I mean? Feed him as necessary. So are you kind of assessing everything that you've been feeding for the last few years and feeling good about that? And like do you feel like you're it's okay the way you've been feeding scrubs, or have you adjusted at all? Like
I've adjusted majorly. That's like the biggest thing I've played with. And so like for me, coming into trying to be a scrub python breeder, back in 2020 when I was first trying, or 2019 when they were breeding, I was like, okay, these are not produced on any sort of regular basis. There have been multiple people who have amassed large collections and were lucky to get a clutch a year. Like something that these guys were doing was wrong. And they were always preaching, like, essentially don't feed your snakes. So I'm like, okay, well, that seems insane. So I'm going to feed my snakes. And I fed my snakes and they bred. And I was like, all right, well, that's definitely one of the variables. I definitely
What was the thinking behind that? Like, why? Why don't feed them?
I think that was like truly. This is going to sound kind of sarcastic. They kind of had a superiority complex about them. We're better because we don't feed our snakes that much. Honestly, they wanted it to be true so bad that they sacrificed years of successful breeding just to stick to their dogma. Truly, like that's really it.
Do they have a fast
I'll
metabolism?
be right back.
I mean, not really. Like they kind of have a python metabolism. Like there's nothing about them that's really that uniquely different than a green tree or a carpet or a retic. I mean, retics have really fast metabolisms, but like, you know, they're not really that extremely different in any major way. They can definitely be prone to obesity, as with any python. But like, take a green tree for instance.
It's a big snake though, right? I mean, it's got
I mean, like, you know, people were saying a couple years ago. I think it was a discussion when that like ivory looking Jayapura scrub was found in the wild, and some of the old timers were like, "Oh, this would be a disaster if this ever hit the States. Scrub pythons would be screwed." It's like, you can breed scrubs in CB70s; they're going to be morph milled. It's like, you can't even fit 2 scrub pythons in a CB70 tub and close it. What are you talking about? These are 10-foot snakes. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. I mean, any of what are currently amethystina, Moluccan scrubs, they're all like, you're looking at a 10-foot snake most of the time. A 10-foot scrub python though is like that thick around. So like, you put it in perspective, like that's, you know, the snake looks tiny when it's all curled up, but they're not small snakes. I mean, the Halmaheras, the Tannenbars, especially the Tannenbars, will stay smaller, but it's all within reason. But then once you have an adult scrub python, they're definitely prone to obesity. And that's what I ran into, where I think I had some issues, was I would feed a female up for breeding and she wouldn't go. And then I'd continue feeding her normally, even though she had all that extra intake and didn't have the large weight loss event of a clutch. Yeah. So like, for instance, this year, the females that I fed up that didn't breed, that are adults, like they're not going to get a meal until August, and then they're going to get fed up for a little while and then cool down. So that like the periods of no food followed by the periods of a lot of food, I think is what might be the thing to do it. And you know, as is the case with a lot of different pythons, and you know, that's all like, that's completely Ryan Young's philosophy. And you know, no one's bred more species. I mean, you know, technically a couple people have, but of the people who I at least speak to on a regular basis, he's the python guy to me. So, you know, to me, I'm at a point where I'm just trying to figure like the last little pieces of the puzzle. And then I think maybe just ultimately with this year, you know, fucking El Paso had the driest winter on record in like 150 years. Damn. So we didn't have rain from like September until May, like not a drop of rain. So that lack of environmental activity probably wasn't great for him.
Are you trying to get the hell out of there still? Like, are you trying to move?
Oh yeah, it was never a permanent fixture. But it's been fun. It's beautiful here. There's the mountains and everything. Herping is fun. So, but yeah, no, it's definitely a stopover for sure. This is not my final destination.
But so, your plan is to stay in Texas though, right?
Yeah, 100%. Just the venomous laws first and foremost. You can't beat it in a warm climate that doesn't have like major natural disaster threats. So
yeah.
And then I love Texas as well. So yeah, no, this is definitely, I'm staying in Texas, that's for sure.
Okay, dude, we get it. You love Texas. Fuck. Jesus. Now I got to ask you though, Steven, with where you're headed, you know, with obviously, because it's just a matter of time. Like, I feel like any female that's giving you any kind of slug or whatever is a good sign, better than nothing, you know, like,
yeah, sure.
You figure out the cycle. And so, you know, obviously as you get more fucking, you know, dialed into how you get them to go, then you're going to have success at some point. But
yeah,
where are you trying to take production numbers wise? Like, because, you know, we're in a weird time right now overall. Like, we can't just say ball python game or whatever. Like, the whole market's kind of, other than green tree pythons, but I'm just saying it's kind of like a unpredictable market.
Yeah, right now. 100%.
how are you playing out how many clutches are you trying to go for and all that stuff?
So it's hard to say. It also really depends on what exactly I'm producing. I feel like I could have 10 clutches of Halmaheras a year and not have a problem selling them. If I had 10 clutches of Marukis, I would be wholesaling them for $50 a piece. Like,
wow.
So
heavy.
It's just, it all comes down to exactly what it is. And then, because of that, and I'd say the Maruki thing, not to like shit on the locality, but a lot of people breed them. So,
yeah,
like last year I had a clutch of southern scrub pythons, more like a Tanamera. But anyway, so like I had a clutch and like 8 other people produced them last year. So to me, I'm like, those animals are good. They're established in the hobby. We don't need to be worried about losing them. I'm going to keep them because I want all the scrub localities, but I don't need like 15 of them. I can have a couple pairs and be good, and then use that space for something like the Aru scrubs, which I have the only ones of. So, I want to be able to produce a variety of all the different species and localities, and then probably lean a little more heavily on the ones that I know have the increased demand and more people can keep, be it, like Halmaheras and Tannenbars. Barnecks are always going to be like my number one project. This is, I have like 60 years of line breeding I want to be doing with them, so like I'm always going to have those and hopefully have the most production out of those. By far I've produced more Barnecks than any other scrubs. So, and then, maybe one day I'll produce Moluccans. My God, that I don't even like to talk about. You have
a pair?
I have,
he has more than a pair.
I have 3.2 now, one adult female, and then one 2021 female. So probably not next year, but the following for her. This adult female slugged out for me once before. And then last year she like legitimately copulated like I think 17 or 18 times that I saw. I thought she was gravid. I thought like she'd done everything right and somehow didn't in fact ovulate, reabsorbed her follicles, and it's like, wow, that was the most intense breeding I've ever experienced for literally nothing to come out the opposite end. So
yeah.
And how many are yours related to the ones that MJ had? The
captive bred female. Yeah, the captive bred female is, and the rest are all wild caught.
Okay, so how many of those are there out there from that clutch? I mean, they've got to be getting up to close to breeding size now, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
that's the one you were just talking about.
Yeah. Well, no, so the female I was just talking about was a wild caught, but I mean, I probably know like 5 or 6 people who have siblings from that clutch.
Patrick, Brandon, and then now Carly, because Carly has mine.
Yeah, Carly.
And then who else?
I mean, I guess point was that they've got to be close to to now people having captive bred adults to have a shot.
Sure.
About a year or so away, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, hopefully myself and others can have success with them, because and it's weird because they're not like, it's not like they're not exported, but like almost all of them are going to Japan and Korea. So, like we don't even have a shot at them because then I see new ones popping up. Like it's not like they're not being collected, not being exported. They're just not making it to the States. And when they do make it to the States, they're insanely expensive. And they're not even gone. Like they sit because these people, like these flippers who have a very cursory idea of the scrub python market, know that these have been expensive and they're probably making 5x on their money on that animal if they sell it for what they're asking. But they sit for a while until somebody pulls the trigger. So,
hey, let's say a little story real quick. I don't know. I think Marshall might have been there, maybe not. I don't think so. This might have been a couple years before Marshall came to Trap Fest. And obviously, I throw Trap Fest on the weekend of the Reptile Super Show. But do you remember, Stephen, when there were a table full of United States captive born and bred Moluccans, the ones you're talking about? And the guy had them on the table for $12,000 each.
Yeah.
I was crashing out. You were pissed though. Remember how mad you were?
I was crashing out. Like I don't like to be that way, but like to me, it's just like
I couldn't believe it.
I don't know. That to me, that it's just disrespecting the animals, and I'm not about that.
Were they captive bred or wild?
Oh yeah, I mean, they were the ones that we're talking about.
My
Oh.
my pair, well, now Carly's pair was on that table. Like I think a pair that he has is on that table. They were all there trying to be sold.
Yeah. No, I mean, they were the same animals. It's just like, I mean, it's like, let's say, Marshall, you produce another albino chondro and you're going to sell it, and you put it up at $250,000.
Huh. Wow.
Like,
anybody out there, hit me up. I'll take
sure. But but let's say, I mean, maybe a morph's a bad example, but like in the case of the Moluccans, the only person who's going to spend this kind of money is probably someone who doesn't actually have the capability of producing from that animal.
Yeah, or even maybe even taking care of it,
or even buying a pair.
Yeah,
they're maybe just going to buy one and effectively remove it from the gene pool. So to me, I was just upset because I'm like, that's a trophy price. That's not like a respectable step up from what they were. Like 4,000, 5,000, much more reasonable. 12,000, those animals will never be bred by, I mean, anyone who has the ability to breed those animals isn't going to spend that kind of money because they know what wild caughts go for.
It's kind of what happened to Bullens, right? I mean, it's kind of like or the Bull
literally the exact same thing. And if it wasn't for guys like Scott and Mark Miles, like we'd be fucked on Bullens right now.
Scott had a clutch laid today. I saw.
Yeah,
second Bullen clutch. Shout out to Scott.
He's killing it, man.
So like, if it wasn't for those two guys, like Bullens would be totally fucked because of what Nerd did to them during COVID. 100%. Like that's literally it. And I didn't want the same thing to happen to Moluccan scrubs, and that kind of pricing model promotes that exact kind of market trend. I'm like, I want to be able to have these snakes in 20 years, and selling them like this, you're guaranteeing we're not going to have animals, at least from this lineage. So I was upset about that for sure.
Now listen, I just know that when it comes to breeding, some things are a little trickier than others, right? Like even Bullens, like there's a reason why people get so excited hearing that someone has a Bullen clutch, because you don't see it a lot. And I've had Scott on the show before, and I asked him like straight up, like, well, what is it? Like, what do you feel like it is that's giving you success? And he's telling me, you got to have multiple males. Like you literally got to throw a pile all together in a sense. He showed me pictures of fucking like 8 Bullens all mixed up, just like one big ball of them. It was crazy. And I was like, holy shit. Like, no wonder, like, who the fuck has that kind of stock of Bullens to do that with, right? But
yeah, exactly.
But it makes sense because obviously, like, males will take their turns, or the certain male would want that female because, chemistry is everything. Then you have the whole, like, combative thing with males, and males want to be the big dog in the cage. So that happens too. So any of this that has worked for Scott when it comes to such a fucking difficult species like Bulleneye, don't you think this could maybe help with Moluccans? And if you do give it a shot, like maybe try to do like multiple males to a female or something like that?
My biggest concern there is I had a friend who had an adult pair of Moluccan scrubs from you know who, and there were 2 males. He put them together, and like instantaneously one just killed the other, like no hesitation. And if I had that happen, I would walk into traffic. So, but like people have bred Halmaheras successfully with multiple males at the same time. Like with my Moluccan female, I've been like rotating the males to her, just not at the same time. So like, with Halmaheras, and I've accidentally put male Halmaheras together that were, supposed to be a pair. They seem to be tolerant of it. I bet Biak scrubs would be the same way. I would just be too worried about like Barnecks or Moluccans, because I mean, not that Bullens are, but these are big snakes with big teeth. They can kill one another really easily.
Yeah.
So and at least for me so far with the scrubs, they've been breeding with 1-to-1. So to me, I think, and I'm not speaking out of turn, but I'm not speaking with a lot of experience because I'm like, I haven't produced what I haven't produced, but I feel like my issues have come into play in other areas that I can address without having to go to that that place yet. Like if I get my feeding down to what I think is perfect and I'm still having issues, then that's where I'm like, okay, maybe I will try this and just like sit in front of the cage for an entire day and make sure nothing's happening, or, you know, put him in an 8-footer or whatever.
He's totally told me that that he's seen, even, you know, you can't just, like, I'm not trying to make it seem like he throws them all together and walks away. Like, no, like, dude, there's some of them are fucking each other up. Like it's exactly right what you said. Like, it's almost, but it happens in the wild. Understand? Like, if they come across, you know, you see things where males are going at it for a female, and so it's natural behavior. But
100%.
The problem is there's no escape for the weak one. Also,
no, yeah, exactly, yeah. Motherfucker gets checked. He's in the corner just getting punked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he also, I think Scott, from what I remember, told me he's pretty good at like weaning out the ones that shouldn't be in there or something like that. Or
yeah, I mean, I bet when you put as many groups of Bolins together as he has, you pick up on those behaviors pretty quickly. So
yeah,
I can only imagine. Sure. Yeah.
Round 2, Scott Flood coming very soon, so you guys know. I have it ready to go, and I think Steven's gonna be a part of that one. So yeah, all right. Listen, before we kind of get into the next chapter of this episode, I kind of want to talk more of the you know, well, where do you feel like scrubs are headed, like, as of now? You know, like, you know, what I mean by that, like, you know, there's a huge, I don't want to say rush, but god damn it, man, there's a lot of people dipping out on the species that's like their bread and butter to go do something else because either the money's not right. I know green tree pythons has been fucking a pinnacle like species to go to for a lot of ball python breeders, but I'm hearing a lot of people get into scrubs too right now. So where are you seeing the growth, and do you feel like do you feel like, from what you could tell, the right people are getting into scrubs? You know?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the thing I would emphasize is the right people. I mean, everyone who has been getting into scrubs, at least through me or through people who I know as well, who are breeders, you know, no one's in it for the money grab, for whatever. I mean, not that there aren't people who have intentions of breeding and selling and making money off of it. But it's people who are like interested in a really engaging species that's just rewarding to keep. And, you know, I mean, like one thing that I probably said on the last show, but like often when I sell somebody a scrub python, like in a couple of weeks, they'll message me like, this is my favorite snake in my collection now. Like the way that it looks at me, the way that it analyzes things, you know, interacting it with while handling, like it's just a step up from what I'm already working with. And that's like, to me, that's why I amassed the amount of them that I did, because it was just so much fun, like interacting with these animals and learning about them. You know, obviously people aren't flocking to scrubs the same way they have been to chondros, and they probably never will, just based on some of the physical limitations that come along with keeping scrub pythons. Yeah. But I mean, I have a bunch of people who have chondro collections hit me up, and I mean, like Carly is a great example. I mean, she went a little harder than most, you know, chondro people will go.
That's how she does it. That's how she does it.
Yeah, no,
you don't say, Carly going hard. You don't say.
But like people who have this, you know, they're amassing a chondro collection. They're like, I want a pair of scrub pythons in my chondro room just to have something different. Because like the care is the exact same. You just need a bigger cage, and they're a totally different snake that exists in the same kind of condition. So I always like seeing that too, because I think they're a great complement to a collection as well. Like you don't need to have 15, 20, 30 scrub pythons to enjoy them. You need one. And if you want a pair, great, get a second one. Yeah. You know, you can be me and have 100 of them and love it too, but you know, you don't need a bunch of them to really enjoy it. And I love when people like, I want one, I want a pet. I want to, you know, to be able to like interact with it and take it out and let it run around my house and stuff. I'm like, cool, sick. That's awesome. Like they're a great snake for that, because they're confident and they're curious, and like they don't stress once they're comfortable in their situation. They really don't stress out at all. Yeah. So they can tolerate that.
And you know the group I had before they parted ways to you basically. And man, I had that group for so long, to where obviously inside the cage, like if I had food thawing out, okay, no, it's not. There's no cuddle time right now. Like it's fucking, they're on, like, because they know the food's in the room. But man, once they're out and they realize there's no food and they're down to chill, like. Yeah, I gotta tell you, man, I've the nicest female, the nicest Spartak that went to you, but she was my favorite snake to take out, because she She wasn't the one that just kept moving. She would stop. She would just chill. Yeah. And so it just, you know, and when you have a snake that uses its mind the way a scrub does, like they're just thinkers. Like they're thinkers and they're very curious, like you said, you know, like they kind of remind me of retics, but smarter than a retic, I would say. Like retics are more in the fucking like brute fucking like, you know, like me run into a wall type of thing.
Yeah.
Scrubs are more methodical. Like they're like,
yeah.
I don't know, man. They're more sharp. You know what I mean? They're, you know, and I didn't mean to offend you, dude. I'm not trying to say, you know, I'm just trying to compare the species I've kept.
Lucky you're in San Diego. No, you'd kick my ass. No, I mean, like the main difference between scrubs and retics is that retics have that like absolute batshit brain turned off feeding response.
Yeah.
That like no matter where you are, how long it's been since food has been in the room, they're always going to hit you with that every single time.
Especially breeding. They're idiots.
And you know, and scrubs, they're like they use their strikes methodically. Like they're not just going to flail. They're, you know, they're going to analyze what's going on before throwing themselves, and they're going to know they can hit you if they're going to strike at you. It's fun because, you know, you're not dealing with a snake that's going to like get scared and run away from you. You know, it's a battle of the minds, I guess. So. And
you know, listen, we always kind of give reach arounds to scrubs, and I love them, but this guy's correct in a sense. Like, depending on the scrub, moment, oh my god, it could be a big pain in the ass
for sure.
Just, you know, just as far as like fucking up a room, like just, you know, if one escapes, like, you know what I mean, like
and their tail wrapped on something, and then you just can't get them off, no matter what you do. And then you have like 9 foot of snake just like going crazy, and you're trying to get this tail off a rack or like a wheel.
Hey, what's the deal with getting them off perches? How come they will not get off a perch?
They love that tail anchor. It makes them feel comfortable, and they just know that they don't have to. I think that's really about it,
dude. Because these scrubs are strong, bro. Like they're like Apadora strong. Like they get really tight. Like especially if they don't want to get moved, they just tighten up like where it's like solid as a rock, and you're just like, okay, you're not going anywhere. I guess you just fucking put them down, you know, and then they start moving. But I do know, man, scrubs love to perch, bro. Like they, you know, I'm not trying to say how come we don't have perches in your cages. I mean, I do. The little platform, I bet you is good enough. But like you would say for sure, a little bit more than semi-arboreal. Like they're a boreal species. Like
100%. Yeah,
they like to be high up in the trees and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like I think what Nick and Ryan said that scrub that they saw was like 50 feet in a tree or something like that.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it was in a tree somewhere.
Yeah. So one of the guys they were with just shot up the tree and got it down like it was nothing. He said,
"Yeah, oh yeah." So no, they'll definitely climb. I mean, for me, like not having perches in the cages is really just like a matter of I have a lot of animals, and I'm, you know, I don't want to say running like a commercial scale, but as close as you can get with scrubs. Like if I had to peel 90 plus scrub pythons off of perches every week, like I don't know, I wouldn't sleep. It would take forever, and then you're putting yourself in jeopardy too, because it's not like a chondro where you just hold the other end of the perch and put it down somewhere. It's like, no matter where you are, that scrub can and will get you. Like there's no removable perch.
Their reach is no joke. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, you're right, because chondro's like, all right, I set you up somewhere where you're there and I go do my work. But scrubs are either going to tag you somehow or they're going to just take off, and then you're going to be following the snake as it goes along your racks and everywhere else. And so, but you know, like you said, you know, it's worth it. I feel like, you know, if it wasn't a space thing for me, I would still have my Barnecks.
Yeah,
I would definitely still have my Moluccans. Like, you don't know, I wake up, you know, kind of sobbing that I don't have my Moluccans anymore. But
I bet I would.
Yeah, I know, but it's all good. You know, I do know everything. Everything I'm doing now is because at some point when I have the space and everything, I'll revisit it. You know, I just like scrubs need, I don't know, they need their own thing. Like you literally have scrubs. You got your own room full of scrubs, Steven. You know what I mean?
Full of them.
A house full of them. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to discourage anyone from using perches with their scrub pythons. Definitely do it. I just am explaining why I don't. But they'll use it, and they perch like a green tree python. Yeah. So, you know, for display sake, it's great, and especially if you have like, you know, a couple individuals that you can raise from babies and, you know, form a good relationship with. Like getting them off that perch isn't going to be difficult. It might just take a while, but will definitely be worth it for the sake of, letting the animal experience that, and also for the sake of the display. So definitely not going to discourage it.
What do you like? Okay, if somebody wants to go all out and fucking put not even an adult scrub, like let's say somebody buys a sub-adult from you, and they just want to put it in a goddamn, I guess, a walk-in enclosure type thing. You know what I mean? But if everything's checks out, temps, basking, everything's there, you cool with that? Like, do you feel like you go for it? Or,
absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, I think you could theoretically put a scrub in there from like, a year and a half on. It might be hard to find it, but like, I think that the animal will thrive in a, an environment like that with the right amount of coverage, places to feel secure. Yeah. I mean,
they're pretty active.
Yeah, they're pretty active. Males in particular. Females, they kind of like have their spots. Like they'll move from spot to spot. At night, they're all over the place. Yeah, they're pretty active snakes.
Yeah. So okay, because you've been at Ari's, right? So shout out to Reptilandia, and I remember I've never seen scrubs in an enclosure like that. You saw the big up fucking enclosures and the two big females that he had, or a big female up there that he had. But I was pretty blown away, like how fucking cool that looked. I'm like, holy shit,
yeah.
That's impressive. So, but I'm wondering, like, just like how a big retic would do fine in just a huge ass enclosure. I was wondering, scrubs would probably do just as fine as a display, just like anything else.
Absolutely. Yeah, they do great. Yeah, they're not shy. They sit out, like, they do all the things that you'd want a display snake to do.
So overall, Steven, like, and this is going to be one of the wrap up topics. And if there's anything else you want to cover on scrubs before we get into the next topic, please feel free to step in and tell me. But I'm just curious what it's been like, selling scrubs to new customers. We hear stories, and it could be anything, but you got some thorn in the asses out there. Like holy shit, did you really put that snake in that fucking, in that tank, or did you, or like they can't get it to eat or whatever? Like, what's been the overall experience with new selling scrubs to like new customers of yours? Let's get to that.
No, I mean, it's been almost universally great. What I think is nice about it is that, and I'll say most of the time I'm selling a scrub python, it's to someone who's a new scrub python keeper, but like they've already listened to podcasts and watched videos and have been like following my Instagram and stuff like that. So they already know kind of what is accepted as like the standards within the scrub python community. Right. And that's like their baseline of information that they're going off of going forward. So, I don't need to do a whole lot of correcting bad information early on or whatever, because they've already accessed what I like to think I put out good information, but like the stuff that I would want my customers to know. And because I don't put a lot of ads up anywhere, most of the time when I'm selling snakes, people are reaching out to me, seeing if I have anything available. And I think that eliminates like a huge layer of like bad customers, because nobody who is, I'm not going to say nobody, obviously there's exceptions, but most of the time, if you have someone reaching out to you and that first message is like, hey, I love your page. I love everything you're doing. And, I listened to some of the podcasts and stuff like that. Been interested in scrub pythons for a while. I want to see if you have anything available. Ask you some questions. That person's going to take good care of that snake, because they wouldn't be at that point if they didn't really care about it. And like, that's not the first day they've seen a scrub python. They've probably been looking at my post or Rob Christian's post for months, if not years. Like, this is something that they've been trying to familiarize themselves with. So when that is how someone approaches me, obviously I'm going to still vet them, but it gives me a lot of confidence that this is a person who's going to take this seriously and do right by the snake. And I mean, I really can't think of a time that I've sold a scrub python and like a month later, I'm like, I really shouldn't have sold that person that snake. Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Which is like, I'm grateful, because I want those snakes to go to places where they should be. So,
and it's still not your typical common snake that like nobody who's not in the hobby knows about. Like, you got people who remember seeing a green tree python in elementary school in a book, and same with emerald tree boas, but nobody remembers seeing a scrub python.
Right. Yeah.
So it's also, that's another thing too. It's also something where, as like, once people get into the hobby and they start opening up their eyes on what else is out there, and then they come across the scrubs, that's when they're like, holy shit. And you're right. Like, I mean, anyone should know just by looking at a scrub. It's pretty intimidating. Like, especially if you're not used to their demeanor and how they are and the way they act and their feeding response. Like, dude, that's a heavy snake. It really is. It's not a fucking a milk snake or a goddamn corn snake to put into a goddamn rack system. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you're right. Must be nice to have people who already kind of have to realize the research should be there. You know what I mean? And mind you, it's a lot of research. So why would you go through? Why go through all that just to know that it's not a good fit? You know? Right.
I mean, and that's part of why I started the YouTube channel, was like, if someone does reach out to me, I'm like, here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like just here, watch all these videos. Like, this is everything that I'm going to write in a message to you in a video with the animals too. Like, so, you know, I think obviously with anything in this industry, the more information that you can get to your consumers, the better. So for me, I'm like, I want these snakes to go live full lives wherever they're going to end up being, and, you know, be someone's cherished pet. Like, I want to do what I can to make sure that happens. So
are you okay with a learning lesson real quick?
Let's do it.
Change the goddamn fucking title. Okay. I don't know why the fuck it just says Stephen Kush, right? You're not going to get put in any algorithm if you're the title Stephen Kush. You're going to get put into a weed algorithm probably. Okay. So you need to have reptile. Like, you need to have something reptile or python or something in the title. And basically that title gets you put into some sort of algorithm.
Okay.
So, and I told you, get a fucking name, dude. You're you know, it's that time, Stephen Kush. Okay. Or even add reptile if you like. I don't care. You do have a great name. I'm just saying, you know, put reptile in the mix. But
all right.
But also but let me give you flowers. You've been consistent, man. You've been putting out the content, and I love it, man. It's been good. Let's talk about what the grind's been like with YouTube. You know, because I know it's something where it's tedious and it kind of gets annoying when you got plans and you're like, holy shit. And then MJ's asking you to do another Morph Market video. So, like, you know, how's it been with grinding on YouTube?
I mean, yeah, it's been an adjustment. I mean, first and foremost, big shout out to Brooke. She does all of my editing for the videos, and she'll help me film as well.
Brooke, I need that Morph Market video also too. Brooke, I need that video. Sorry, I love it.
It's coming. But so, like, if it wasn't for her helping me with everything, it would be a much greater burden. But yeah, I mean, the first few months of doing the videos, like, I felt like my whole life revolved around it, even though it only took like however many active hours of work a week to film it and prepare what I was going to do for the video. I guess I had the lucky training of like having done podcasts for so long, to where like getting in front of a camera and talking about whatever I need to talk about wasn't like a learning curve for me. You know, if I need to film a 15-minute video, I'm filming for like 16 minutes. So I guess I'm just lucky that I'm good at that, where like I don't need to write I just can come off the top with what I need to say, and it ends up being good enough. But yeah, I mean, like, the consistency of it, obviously that's the hardest part, as it would be for anybody. Yeah, you have a descender here. Mr. Kenneth says that Stephen is just fine.
Hey, Papa Kush, relax. I'm on your side, Hey, look, Ken, same team, buddy. I just want the views to go up a little bit.
Yeah, 100%.
That's all I care about. You know, I'm about the views.
What does YouTube want? They want to, like, a weekly, or just like they want it on some sort of schedule, or what? Like what?
At least once a week. But it's all about being consistent. Like, you can't miss. Like, it's about always doing it the same time of the week. And I will tell you, the more you do, the better, for sure. But the more you do, the more you have to not fucking, like, you can't stop. Like, once you get on to a rhythm and you stop, then they punish you. It's crazy. Like, you know, I don't mean deliberately, but they don't put you in certain algorithms, and your viewership just goes down. It's weird. It's not easy. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, it's also like, but also you got to remind yourself why you're doing it. That the biggest reason I feel like, right, Stephen, is you got somebody new with all these questions, right? And you know the questions are going to keep coming. Send them to your goddamn channel. That's it.
Well,
I mean, go ape shit.
my thought process was just like, I want to make the videos that I wish I saw when I was getting into these animals that I'm keeping.
Yeah.
And you know, if that would be something that I would have wanted to see 6, 7, 8 years ago, I bet somebody else would too. So yeah, it's been interesting trying to figure out like what works, what doesn't, how long the video should be, this, that, you know, and I don't know. Yeah, see, it's been working well enough, and it's been like steadily growing, I guess, for like a subscriber standpoint. I don't know. So, you know, I'm not doing anything crazy and sensational, so I knew it wasn't going to like explode. But as long as the right people find the channel, then that's all that matters.
Do you film by yourself, or does Brooke film?
Yeah, typically like either she'll film or I'll just set the tripod up, and you know, if she's busy, you know, one or the other. But it's always helpful, obviously, when she films and like gets B-roll footage and stuff like that. So,
and how much time goes into the editing? Sorry,
no, you're good.
I mean, I guess I don't know if she's listening or not. She could comment. But like, okay, so I've edited a few videos. Like I have enough knowledge of that stuff to be able to do it. And like, I would say a good few hours at least, you know, probably depending on
for a 15-minute video or something.
It really depends on all that, what would go into it. But yeah, I would say like 2 to 4 hours probably per video for editing. So,
and it depends on the video. Like it depends like how fucking detailed you want to get. Like obviously and that's the tough thing too, because you'll like, man, I've put hours into vlogs thinking like, holy shit, this vlog's gonna go to the top. And the views were fucking just whatever, you know. So, but you got to do it for the right reasons, you know. And I feel like I do the smaller detailed things just to get better at vlogging, like just so I can get better at it.
Sure.
And get quicker at it. But man, it takes time, dude. Like I've been at it for years now. But it also like, dude, think about first and foremost like how expensive it is to hire somebody. Like you got Brooke, thank God. That's a plug right there.
Yeah.
But,
for sure.
Like,
if it wasn't for her, it would just be me doing it. Like, you know, I'm not paying anyone to edit my videos. Like, you know, so yeah. I mean, especially like at the level that it's at now. Obviously, if you were like, you know, someone like a Barcheck or you know, Snake Discovery or Wickens, like you're gonna have the resources to outsource some of that stuff. But when you're at when you're not even at 1,000 subscribers, it's not even a thought. So,
are there any reptile related channels that don't edit, that just is one take, that are successful?
Probably not.
No, there's always some sort of editing. I mean, there's minimal editing, like Tyler Nolan, right? He doesn't have anything snazzy. It's like literally you could tell like there's breaks, but it's all one shot. But he's also working with Venomous and sensational shit, so that's why people watch that. So
you can also tell the difference. You can tell the difference between the videos that I edited and the ones that Brooke edited, because I did the bare minimum. So
I think what it comes down to on YouTube, you got to have good video quality and you have to good audio quality. Because I also found out that if you don't have, like, if you have poor video quality and you have bad audio quality, that's another thing YouTube looks at, and they won't put you in the algorithm. Like they won't even like let you be a part of like the professionalism that is also a part of YouTube. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's kind of like a never ending grind, like with YouTube, but also like you're doing a good thing by leaving a bunch of documentation that's there forever for people. Like that's one thing I sometimes forget. I'm like, damn, dude, I've been doing Trap Talk for over 5 years now, but like 5 years of just episodes of just all sorts of shit. Like it's all over the place. You know what I mean? So, and it doesn't go anywhere. I think hopefully YouTube doesn't just take it away someday, which is crazy to think. Like, what if YouTube does? Huh? What if one day I'm like, oh, okay, see you there Tuesday, see you at sound check, and I'm like, YouTube's like, your account's closed, like, or something, like all your videos have been compromised. Like,
that'd be terrible. It's the Library of Alexandria, just modern day version.
That'd be terrible.
Lose it all.
Okay, but I have
to TikTok almost getting shut down. Like, you know, people that make their living off of it. You know,
I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to be mean, but man, I don't want to be mean, but holy shit, seeing the TikTokers lose their shit and melt down about having to get a real job, that was fucking epic. I'm that right there was like fucking, dude. It was pretty awesome to see that. But anyways, okay, but I know, and you know, rest in peace, Brian Barcheck, man, I love him. But he was definitely that one friend that like on YouTube, like, you know what I mean? He did what he did. And like, you know, to me, like I felt like he didn't really push any boundaries that was like over the top, but like for the average reptile keeper, like a lot of stuff wasn't okay. And it could be just as simple as showing an aggressive snake, right? Like, you know, on the camera, showing a snake pissed off. You deal with some scrubs that could be spicy, or even have reptiles that could be spicy. Do you feel like you would never cross over to that line where you're showing some aggression from the animal and like, you know, whatever? Because I mean, if you got a snake that's snapping at the camera, that's people are gonna want to watch that. But I know how you are, Steven. So I'm wondering, like, are you just like, nah, there's no room for that? Or
if it's a genuinely like teachable moment, for sure, like how to deal with a snake that's being cage defensive or something like that. Like if there's actual substance to it, then yeah, sure, why not? Honestly, I don't have that many non-venomous snakes that can really fit that bill. I could probably get like a bunch of rattlesnakes to like try to bite a camera or something like that, but like
no, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm like that just seems like you're asking for trouble. But yeah, I don't know, just like that's just not how I just don't think about that as I'm going along doing my thing. Like the videos are what I think about and what I wish I had known. So like to me, just a snake biting or whatever, it's just not something that is part of like my day-to-day, my thought process. Like, oh, let's make a video of you know, me dodging snake bites left and right. It's like, it's not something I do. Like, I just never on my mind to even think about it. So yeah, definitely not, no sensationalism for me. I don't care if I'm living in YouTube mediocrity forever. That's fine by me.
And, you know, I want to say something on that, you know, because I mean, let's think about it. Like, okay, let's say whatever you're doing is some viral shit, Steven. Dude, think about what all that brings. Like the more eyes you have, and like, you know, mind you, there's people looking who don't even give a fuck about snakes. I think about Jay Brewer's audience, right? Where like, you know, he just does whatever he does, but you got people from India and everywhere who just want to see if this guy's ever going to get eaten or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's why they watch it, because they're like, holy shit, like what's, you know, I don't even know where I was going with that, but
well, it's just a different approach. I mean, like from the standpoint of, okay, I'm a media personality. Like, okay, you're attracting this kind of like low attention span, don't really care a whole lot, kind of want to fill the time of their day kind of audience. And just, I mean, not that I don't want people who are more casual to watch my videos, but it would be because some aspect of me or what I do is appealing to that. I'm not going to like chase the viewership, I guess. It's just not something I really feel like I would care to do. I have many more things that like are priority to me in my life than, you know, get people who I don't care about to care about me. I don't know.
And I'm with you on that, just because I'm already happy with what is currently here and what we have. You know, at the end of the day, like, you know, I've always said, like, I'm here for the reptiles and trying to get good at the breeding thing before podcasting. I mean, it just so happened that podcasting came first, but like, that's not a goal of mine. Like, a goal of mine is, you know, being good at breeding reptiles, like, you know, and maybe being like Marshall someday, where I don't sell shit to nobody, I just hoard it. But I don't think that's ever gonna happen, unfortunately. I don't. I love selling shit. I do.
Well, you know, you do the YouTube and you do the podcasts and you do, you know, Instagram just to be in front of people. You know, it helps you sell snakes.
Oh, 1,000%.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, you can't do it any other way in this day and age. And that's really like, you know, I don't want to say why I'm doing it, but like, I feel like I don't have a choice but to do all this stuff. Not that I wouldn't want to, but because this is what I'm currently like relying on for a full-time living. Like, if
you got to do something.
If I'm not doing everything in my power to like get myself in front of people and like show them what I have to offer, like, why am I even doing this? Let's just go work a 9 to 5 if I'm not going to put like maximum effort into what I'm doing. So,
and mind you, dude, I mean, obviously Marshall goes back. So, I mean, there was an era where people didn't need any of this to survive doing this full time.
Right.
But that's just not the case no more, you know, like, unless you're cut from that cloth. Like, okay, I think Mark Bailey's the only guy I know who doesn't need social media to still sell a lot of ball pythons. You know what I'm saying? Somehow he does it, and he does great doing it. So, but if you come into this game 2025, good luck trying to do that. Like it's not gonna work. You gotta do you gotta do the most nowadays. Like you gotta do it all.
I mean, reptile shows aren't what they used to be. There are 1,000 times as many people trying to be breeders as there were 20 years ago. Like, you having nice snakes is not enough, frankly. It's unfortunate to say that, but like you could produce the best shit in the world and it means nothing from like a business standpoint unless you have the ability to show, to tell people about that and have
unless people know about it, right?
Exactly. Like
most people know about it.
Yeah, like I had a friend who I was like getting into breeding. It was his first year. He's like, I got all these pairings and stuff like that, but like, I'm going to start posting like once I have babies on the ground. Just like, what's the point until then? I'm like, no one's going to know who you are. Like these, is this a fake account? Like what's going on here? Like you need to have years into establishing who you are before anyone's going to buy a snake from you. Like, and that's just become more and more apparent as time has gone on. Like part of why I started like an Instagram for reptiles in like 2014. And I'm like, eventually people are going to need to know who I am if I want to be selling stuff to people. And I didn't have anything for sale for years. Especially not like stuff I was selling online. I was just like selling like geckos at local shows and stuff like that. So like, that's the only, I have a relatively speaking solid following on Instagram. I wouldn't have a fraction of that if I started my Instagram in 2021. Like,
I mean, that and you've had a face in the podcasting game since you were 17, you took like maybe a year off, but like you've regularly been a face on this network, on Unfiltered Reptiles podcast. You've been on fucking NPR, what I'm saying, multiple times. You've been on Adam's show, or one time, but either way, like you've been a part of what you've been doing. And you've been very clear about what you've been doing like for a long time now. Like people know that's why you're the fucking real scrub king. You know what I'm saying? Like you've been about this for years now. Like it's a secret,
Yeah, 100%. So I mean, and like I enjoy it too. Like I love doing podcasts, and I can't say I love social media, but like I like interacting with people. I like the positive, the friendships I've made and stuff like that. Like that's always fun for me. So there's a lot of positivity to be derived from it, and as long as you can like in your mind like highlight that stuff, and the negative shit exists, but just don't pay any attention to it.
I look at social media like going to the gym now. Like it's like,
seriously,
there's days you don't want to do it, but you have to fucking do it. And then especially dealing with the people, because like I know like a lot of the times it's me. Like I got a lot going on, but like fuck, dude. Oh my God, dealing with some of the people sometimes, dude. It's like it's overwhelming. But shout out to Gary. Gary's helped me out a lot. He gave me like this auto reply thing that I could just edit the names. So now, like, whenever there's a time where I want to fucking go through the screen and fucking kill somebody, I just copy paste the auto reply, and it's like the most politest way of telling someone to fuck off. Like,
oh my God,
it is epic, and I'm not sharing that with nobody unless you're someone inquiring, and I just don't want to say nothing.
I'm gonna make a fake account and be like, hey, like, how much for the Miss Willies, just to see what the fake response is gonna be,
dude. I've copy pasted like 9 of those in the last week. I'm not joking, bro. And it's really nice, man. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, if this is what you want to do, like in a sense, in a business sense, you got to fucking smile. You got to shake hands. You got to, take care to everybody. It's just
a lot of times, man, like if you're a new person buying a snake, you're kind of like, you're buying the breeder. You're buying the person,
the relationship,
snake from, more than the snake itself. That's just as important as who you get it from. Is that person, is that person willing to share information? Are they detail oriented? Are they, all these things? That's what you're buying, and that's what will set you apart from, I'm not going to say the competition, but from other people who have snakes for sale.
Yeah, 100%.
And you just got to get real good at like, okay, they want pictures of this, and that. Just have it be ready with that stuff. Like if you, especially with the green tree pythons or scrubs, like that's like the known thing. Like you got to have pictures of the parents. You got to have this ready to go, because that just makes the sale 10 times easier. Like if you have all these ding, 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 what other questions do you have? There's everything. Right. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
also that kind of shows you what kind of breeder you are, and people want that. Like that's what people want. Like,
Right.
why do you think fucking Ryan Young's doing lineage charts now, which are doing? They look great, Ryan. But even he knows, like, dude, this is what people want. Like, they want to see they want to see the chart, and it's cool. Like, I think it's awesome to represent all that, with the history behind chondros and now you're starting it with scrubs, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, hopefully this year I'll be able to make my first scrub lineage charts. That'd be fucking cool. But yeah, I mean, especially like if you're doing this full time or, any amount of time to where like this is something that really is important for you, and you're not willing to like take a snake out of a tub, put it under a light, take some pictures at a few angles or a little video and send it to a customer with like a description of what's going on. Like, why are you like, what do you expect to get out of this?
Yeah.
And, like, I get, like, if you like have like a 60-hour-a-week job and a family, like getting those pictures of those snakes will be annoying as shit, but you also have your priorities, and your snake business is not one of your top priorities. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's just your life. But it is if it is one of your top priorities, there's no excuse in the world to not follow through on those customers that are asking these questions. Like if it's a clear, obvious tire kicker, that's one thing. But if it's someone who's even remotely potentially serious, like you're just shooting yourself in the foot if you're not following through.
So I had one of Miguel's friends on not too long ago. Shout out to AG, completely new breeder. Like hasn't had his first clutch yet, or maybe he just had his first clutch. But anyways, he was telling me how like one late night weekend he must have been spent like $30K on Morph Market, and he fucking saw this new count who had this snake that he really want, and he asked, he's like, hey, do you happen to have a picture of the belly? Whatever ball python shit, like the trackers. Want to see the belly? And the guy's like, sorry man, it's too cold outside. I'm like, dude, this is why people are checking out. Like, it's too cold outside. Like, and obviously we don't know who's inquiring, but this is why you never know. Like, this motherfucker was probably willing to spend another $30K with this guy. You know what I'm saying? But he was refusing to go outside just to take a picture. You know what I'm saying? Like,
meaning like he didn't want to walk to his building.
Yeah, he said it was too cold. It was too cold outside. Man. And Marshall's like, I can't handle this. He left.
Hey, man. I hope whatever that breeder's going through gets better, because, man, I hope I'm never in that type of mood.
I'm pretty sure that guy that week had a story saying, all my racks are available. Please meet me at the next Repticon and just take it all. Please. Yeah,
well, there
give
you
me
go.
an offer. Oh, my God.
Jeez.
All right, listen, we're going to cut to commercial breaks, especially since Marshall fucking
God
bless wherever he went. But, guys, sit tight. We're going to get to the next chapter and the final chapter of this episode. But before we do, check out these amazing sponsors. One of the biggest growths we have in the reptile industry today are the rare species of reptiles that aren't worked with. That's right. That's why I went ahead and partnered up again with Brian Susan over at SUNDOWN Reptiles. Brian works with species such as kahua geckos, gargoyle geckos, all species of tree monitors. He works with Abronia and many other cool species geckos that you can check out all on his website. Head over to sundownreptiles.com, see what he has available. Brian's one of the best doing it in the reptile industry today. He's been on the show multiple times, so make sure you check out all of Brian Susan's episodes on Trap Talk Reptile Network. But more importantly, for the highest quality of captive bred reptiles, make sure you head over to sundownreptiles.com and make sure you give him a follow on Instagram. Thank you again, Brian Susan over at Sundown Reptiles. One of the things I love about being a part of the reptile industry is all the learning, okay? Learning can be fun, and I can prove that to you. Thank you so much to today's sponsor. It's Gary Scavino over at GS Reptiles. I highly recommend you head over to his YouTube channel, follow all this man's content when it comes to learning about rare species of snakes you could be keeping in the hobby, and also just finding out how easy a lot of these rare species of snakes are to keep in general. So thank you so much, Gary Scavino of GS Reptiles. Again, head over to his YouTube channel. Also head over to his Instagram to be on top of all of his current work and be ready for a big year over at GS Reptiles. Thank you so much, Gary, for your ongoing support. I really appreciate it. Sorry for the interruption, folks, but a quick word from our sponsors. Green tree pythons, emerald tree boas, and plenty other arboreal snakes have been quite the popularity here at the Trap Talk Reptile Network, which brings me to today's sponsor, the Reptile Perch. Head over to the reptileperch.com and Reptile Perch on Instagram. See what type of design PVC perch is best for your arboreal reptile. But first and foremost, I would also check out David Brom's Green Tree Python availability on the website. And you can also check out his Instagram just to stay current on any projects or any productions that he posts. Thank you so much, David Broms, for your ongoing support. Looking forward to seeing what you have to show in the 2025 season. When you think about building a good community and being a leader of that community, nobody comes to mind better than Mark Hager over at Texas Chondros. That's right. Make sure you head over to TX Chondros on Instagram and also head over to Mark's website. See what he has available Green Tree Python wise, and be ready for quite the 2025 Green Tree Python breeding season out of Mark Hager. He's a veteran in the Green Tree Python game, one of the best and nicest breeders in the Green Tree Python game. He's been putting on the whole state of Texas for as long as I've known him. So if you want to see all the amazing other chondro keepers out of the state of Texas, another good reason to go follow Mark Hager over at TX Chondros on Instagram. And again, head over to his website, texaschondros.com. You can find all the links in the description below. Thank you so much, Mark Hager, for supporting the trap. Treat. All right, get the likes up. It is that time. Stephen Kush, tell us your game plan. Coming back into the chondro game, or you already have a chondro?
I have a chondro. I've had this chondro for 12 years, 11 years now. He's a Manokwari Lyra cross. He's a great snake. I love him very much. And yeah, I'll always have this snake in my collection. He's awesome.
Oh, so this is part of the original stock from back in the day.
This is my first chondro that I got, and the sire of both of the clutches that I produced.
Damn, so he made it all the way to this point, like, you know, from collection, like from different places where you were living to this point.
Yep. He's a trooper, all right.
Nido clean?
No. he's my bedroom snake. Yeah, no, he's positive.
He's Nido positive as fuck.
Yes, he is. So he's my only Nido positive, and he's in the bedroom. He doesn't get to see other snakes. But I mean, he's been asymptomatic the entire time. So,
wow. How many times have you tested him?
Just once.
Once, that's all he needs.
I mean, yeah, it said positive. I'm like, okay.
I believe you.
I always, with the green tree pythons, like would take care of them last after all the other pythons and stuff like that, just for the sake of, you know, order of operations with Nido. And so then I got like the confirmation. I was like, yeah, I've been doing it right the whole time. But like, you know, I don't have another green tree. Like it would be cool to get like a positive female or something like that to try to make something happen. But what's cool is like the way that I have him set up, he like is not coddled by any means. He's ambient in my bedroom. Like during the winter, he'll get into the upper 60s in there.
Wow.
Hottest summer days, probably upper 80s. Like, and everything in between. And he eats like a machine. He's normal, no RI. Like I don't baby that snake at all. And he's a machine.
Hey, you know who has a Nido female? I think.
Who's that?
Is Carly.
Really?
Yeah, she got sold or her and a group of people won snakes on some sort of weird auction for some guy dying of cancer, but he sold all these snakes with Nido. I'm not laughing. I don't mean to laugh at the cancer part, but the Nido part's fucked up. Like, holy shit. But I guess they're pretty nice looking animals, like high yellow, like some shit. But I don't know. I don't know what Carly did with that snake, but she ended up getting it and she tested it and it's Nido positive. So I don't know if you want to maybe hit her up, but that'd be cool to fucking at least get something out of it, you know?
Yeah, that could be very interesting. Yeah. I don't know if Carly, if you're hearing this, shoot me a message.
Probably get it tomorrow. But now let's kind of talk about, like, because obviously that's cool, you know, you got that snake in your room, but what about really getting back into it? You know, like let's say that's something you want to maybe approach breeding someday, or do you feel like you won't even want to go there? You just want to keep it for the sake of keeping?
I mean, with that individual, you know, that is what it is. But, you know, I mean, I've loved chondros forever. They were one of my first loves in reptiles. You know, like after being like a ball python enthusiast when I was young, obviously, as you know, everyone was. Green trees are one of the first things that caught my eye afterward, particularly like going to Tinley back in the day, seeing the old Chondro Coalition tables. Marshall, you probably saw like, Shaggy Bang's 10-year-old me running around the table. He didn't even know it. But I mean, I love seeing everything, and the thought of getting back into like designer stuff seems so daunting to me that I'm not sure if I would do it, just like knowing how far behind I would be compared to all of you guys.
Wait, far behind how? Meaning like you don't want to spend the money is what you're saying? Like you don't want to...
I won't spend the money. Like it's not going to happen.
I mean, you've already got one cross, right? So you're ahead of Ryan.
You're light years ahead of Ryan right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. You lost him, by the way. He left. Once you said designer, he took off. So
true.
See ya.
See you at Trap Fest. But I've always loved the locality stuff as well. So I think if I were to get back into chondros, it would be just like getting one pair of different localities, like of my ideal look of that locality type, and just kind of working with that.
Like outcrossing them?
No, like keeping them pure, being Ryan Young. Yeah,
we got Ryan back. Good job.
Yep. Yeah. So like, really nice pure Biox, pure Maniquaris, pure Marukis and Arus, like that type of stuff would be my my jam.
Now, so man, that's so no designer stuff. You
and not. I mean, like I just if designer stuff was locality stuff price, it's really just because of that. Like, it's they're expensive, man. I mean, if people, if I end up doing much better with scrubs and people want to trade scrubs for designer chondros, by all means, let's do it. But
and listen, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm right there with you, Steven, because it's hard to stomach something that could just die. Like, and what I mean by that, it's not common. It's not an average thing, but it could happen, and it happens. Yeah, Marshall has had snakes. Fucking real potent designers just roll. I've had shit just roll out of nowhere, which I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And so it's something where like
I had to witness that mosaic animal.
Oh yeah, that's
tumbling down in front of me. Like I've had chondro trauma. Trust me, I've been there. Yeah. So I've been put through the ringer with chondros. Obviously, knowing what we know now, there's a reason why all that, with Nido and everything, why things like that happen. But been there, done that with chondro. So like, if I were to get back into it, it'd be like slow pace, really enjoy it, and I love designer animals. I would love to have them. It just would be a matter of practicality.
Brooke says she wants some high yellow BX, so I'm gonna send her some trap high yellow BX in the near future. I got you, Brooke.
Hell yeah.
And Marshall's gonna send me an albino.
Yeah. I hope I will. I hope I can.
He's like, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, once that $250,000 fucking transfer clears,
dude. Yeah, I'll send it all to you. Yeah.
He's gonna be like, "Can you use any stickers?" Like, I don't fucking
I'll give you a deal on the
sticker I have.
I'll give you a deal on the stickers. Yeah.
I told Marshall, I don't know what it was. I forgot what show we're at, but he brought a shit ton, and as I was leaving, I took them. I forgot. I don't know where it was, but I give them out to my people, man. They love them, so it's all good. Thank you, Marshall. I appreciate that. A lot of stickers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay, so kind of I'm gonna go back to some of your trauma with the chondros, if you don't mind.
Let's do it. Let's dig into the trauma.
Let's kind of get to the baby trauma, okay? Obviously, like, you're no stranger to prolapses. You had that happen on your hands as well, or is that
right? Yeah, my second chondro clutch had prolapse problems. That was the lemon tree bloodline stuff.
Yeah, and from what you remember, did they have a few meals in them and then prolapse? Were they assist fed then prolapse? Like, what was that?
It was kind of all board. Yeah, it was both ones that had eaten on their own and prolapse, and then ones that were assisted and prolapsed.
Yeah, and do you remember the temps you were keeping them back then? Like, do you remember how you had them or no?
Yeah, straight ambient, like 78 to 82.
82. Wow, that's pretty low for babies, no?
The second clutch, were you keeping them the same way? Because your first clutch, you had pretty good luck with them, right? Considering
Yeah.
you told me about this, like you would just come, they were like at your dad's house or something, and then you'd come home on the weekends, take care of them.
Yeah, when I was going back and forth from Chicago and Indianapolis. Yeah, I mean, the first clutch was great. I mean, yeah, literally, I did things pretty much the exact same way. I think with the second clutch, we tried to do them suspended over water for a little while. But as far as like temperatures and stuff goes, yeah, I just kind of treated them like every other python. You know, I after that experience and talking to other people and stuff like that, I personally like just feel like it was a defect in the snakes, not necessarily anything to do with husbandry one way or another. Because like, why is one snake perfect and the next one is just a disaster when they're being kept and treated the same exact way right next to each other? So
yeah, I mean, I've had a prolapse every fucking clutch I've ever had with chondros. I'm hoping some of that changes. The fact that I got 5 in the goddamn incubator right now, hope one of them could prove, like, just give me a little bit of luck from one of them. But I don't know. I really don't. Like, I talked to Alex Warren a lot about this. Like, you know, we went back and forth about the water quality and like, was it the size of the meal too big, too small? And adjusted all those things and still get a prolapse with at least 1 or 2 of them. You know?
Yeah,
so it's fucking weird.
That's why I feel like it has to be either a genetic thing or having something to do with like gestation, like all the way back to the beginning, because there's just no common denominator in any of it, at least from what I've seen. I mean, you guys obviously are much deeper into everything with green trees than I am, but like, I just can't, to me, there's no direct variable that points to any of it with the prolapsing.
Yeah. So, I mean, with right now, Steven, you have obviously the scrubs, which we've been discussing all night.
Yes.
The Venomous are in a different part of the house, like they're in a different room, or
yeah, I got like 2 guest bedrooms that are the Venomous rooms.
Okay. What's going on with the Venomous, bro? Because I mean, listen, I love seeing like that vlog you did with MORPH Market. Like, I love seeing like how you are all dialed in, but like breeding them and like, you know, the thought of selling a venomous snake in today's market just sounds crazy to me. It just doesn't sound like
yeah.
I don't know. And is it like its own little world, the venomous world? Like, is it
Totally separate?
Okay.
Totally different world. Yeah.
Give us more. I want to know more.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the Venomous community is much larger than people who are not involved would imagine that it would be.
Yeah.
And the thing is, with the stuff that I work with, like people need, like the people who want it know what it is. It's not, you know, they're not common species. They're not like copperheads and western diamondbacks and baboon vipers and insularis, like the things that everybody knows about. So for somebody to be interested in a lancehead rattlesnake or a particular locality banded rock rattlesnake or a ridge-nosed rattlesnake, like, you know what those animals are, and then you can tell pretty quickly by talking to these people like how involved they are. And then obviously if they live in an area where it's legal to keep these snakes to begin with. But I mean, I should have a good season. Litters usually drop like between early July and early September. So I could have, I mean, I'm, you know, by the end of the summer, we may be saying that my largest production yield between like my 3 categories of like scrubs, colubrids, and venomous were venomous. So, and we'll see. Because, sorry.
Are you doing just the rattlesnakes now, or do you still have some of the other stuff too?
It's, yeah, mostly. I have a few of the Central American palm vipers and then the Mangshan vipers as well. And I'm trying. I'm not going to have any palm viper litters this year, but hopefully this is the year that they'll be breeding, and then we'll have babies next year. And then I'm trying with the Mangshans. It's you know, kind of just like a learning process as I'm going.
Are they ready?
Oh, sure. They're like 9-10 years old. Yeah, they're
Whoa.
So yeah, no, they're full grown adults, and you know, Ari's been very helpful with information. You know, kind of what his process was like to get those eggs. So you know, I feel like I'm equipped enough to do it. It's just a matter of kind of making it happen at this point.
She ended up laying eggs.
They lay eggs.
Yeah,
I thought all pit vipers were live bears.
Most, but not all. Yeah, like Bushmasters lay eggs. Mangshan, some of the other, Southeast Asian vipers lay eggs. I mean, a decent amount do, but almost all of them are live bearing.
Overall temperament in those manchings, are they pretty like fucking unpredictable, or do you feel comfortable? Like, I'm curious. Like,
they have very weird behavior for a snake, but they're very predictable in their behavior. They're a snake, especially the adults. Like they kind of are. They're little spitfires when they're babies, and they calm down with time. They're a snake that could be very easy to get complacent with because of how chill they can become. I mean, you see people free handling Mangshan vipers all the time. There's a reason for that. It's because they're a snake you can do that with theoretically, because they just don't really bite that much. I mean, shoot, sometimes I have trouble getting them to bite their rats. So like, they're not firing out at you. They're very like stoic, sit there, analyze what's going on, very accustomed to routine. Like I spray them almost every day. I open that cage wide up. I'm spraying in there. They're not moving whatsoever. And if they do, it's like very minimal movement. I can hook them out of the enclosure fairly easily. So, they're pretty, for a larger viper, pretty easy to deal with. I feel like I'd be much more concerned about like a big diamondback or, a bushmaster or something like that. So that's larger than Mangshans, but I don't really have the urge to keep like really dangerous venomous snakes. I don't need that ego trip or whatever. But
hold on, manchings aren't dangerous. So just like, I mean, if you fucking get bit for that thing, it's not good, right, Steve?
Oh no, it's bad for sure. Yeah, I think there's either been no documented fatalities or maybe like one from a Mangshan bite, but like you definitely don't want that to happen to you. But I have a bunch of little tiny rattlesnakes. I don't have a bunch of big ass vipers. So like that's where I'm stopping with any species that are remotely similar to that.
Like, what do you consider a dangerous venomous snake?
Well, I mean,
I don't know shit about venomous.
Yeah, I mean, they're all dangerous, but there's definitely levels to it. Any of the elapids, the cobras, the mambas, any of those, colubrid-esque venomous snakes, just with how fast they are, and then with most of them, the neurotoxin component to their venom, that it'll attack the brain and the nervous system really quickly, where most vipers, and there's a lot of variety within venom, are primarily a hemotoxic venom that's going to affect, go locally, blood, tissue. It's going to probably hurt a lot more than that neurotoxin bite. You might lose a finger or something if you go without treatment or whatever, but like, your breathing's not going to shut down in 5 minutes unless you're going into anaphylaxis, where it might with a cobra bite. So like, and I'm not really, I think a lot of the elapids are cool. I'm like to see them in zoos and collections and stuff like that. But everything that you would get from like the physical nature of those snakes, you can just get in colubrids and in frankly much more beautiful packages. So, my tiger rats, my bull snakes and pine snakes and all that beauty snakes, like that's where I get that fix in. I have no inclination whatsoever to keep like a cobra or a mamba or anything like that. That interests me as much as working a desk job interests me. So
I will say it feels amazing to walk in my room knowing that whatever bits me, I'm not going to the hospital.
Yeah. Well, but it's also nice that they're in their own rooms to where like when I'm in this room, I know what's going on in this room. Like this is my mentality. And if I'm in like this room that I'm in right now, it's all scrubs and colubrids. And like, if anything happens, whoop-de-doo, not that big of a deal.
And I once had a real dangerous, scary room. That's why I like feel great where I'm at right now. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a time where I had retics getting out, Burmese getting out, like mangrove fucking cat snakes getting out. Like
that was a true snake trap.
Except the ones that
have you had venomous before, MJ?
Yeah. Well, I had a venomous. I had a Pacific speckled rattlesnake that my buddy caught out in the street or something like that, and his like baby mama was like threatening him to take him to the fucking like custody court or something if he didn't get rid of it. And so he just showed up to my house one day. He's like, "Can you take this?" And I was like, I couldn't believe it, and I was like, "Fucking yeah!" So I hid it from Lily for like 3 months, and then finally showed her what I had, and she was cool until she caught me handling it. And so, and she caught me handling it for like 2 years in a row. And she was like, but she finally had enough. She's like, dude, you need to get rid of this thing or I'm out. And so I'm like, all right, no problem. So I ended up giving it to Miguel. And so, but I never put it on social media. I will say I wasn't one of those assholes who did it for clout. I legit got a rush out of it, and also knew that's why I'm not meant for the Venomous. And
yeah, that's like I don't, when I'm doing my Venomous, taking care of him and stuff, like my heart rate's like 45 beats a minute. Like I'm never calmer at any point in my life.
Yeah.
I don't get a rush from it. It's not some like adrenaline hit, you know. It's probably like dopamine spikes and shit like that. But like I'm not like, oh yeah, I'm you know, let's be dangerous, let's do crazy shit. Like that's the opposite of how my body's
well, I mean, like I never thought in my life I would hold a rattlesnake or like handle one. And I was like, that's what was setting me over the edge, was like feeling how different a rattlesnake feels compared to a regular snake. And just a thought of like, you know, obviously the like doing something I shouldn't be doing. Like it's just that's just the toxic MJ. Like I love doing that. Like, you know what I mean? So but also too, it was just like, do you really, like, you know, there was moments where I'm like, hey asshole, like can you fucking afford a bite right now? Like with everything, like I'm pretty sure one bite would stop everything from this continuing. Like I'm pretty sure Lily wouldn't want you to keep snakes no more. Like it would fuck everything up. And so luckily I understood that. And yeah, no rattlesnakes for MJ. I'm good.
That's why for me, like doing the Venomous is more, it's
almost more about the enclosures and the room, the ambience of the room than it is the actual snakes themselves. Yeah. Because like they don't come out of the cages. I don't even like hook them. Like the most I'll do is hook a snake from the front of the cage to the back of the cage so I can like reach the water safely with the tongs. Like I don't interact with these animals at all. They're just like a big display for me, and you know, all the different localities and color pattern differences and stuff like that. Like that's what it is for me. So
yeah, the rock rattlesnakes are pretty cool. I'll say that they're beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best ones, I think you got to put them up there with like some of the most beautiful snakes in the entire world. They
stay fairly small too, right?
Oh yeah, like a 2-foot one is like, okay, that's a big rock rattlesnake. Like yeah, they're small. They're really small. They're very akin to like gray banded king snakes. Like the gray bands will mimic the rock rattlesnakes, and like they're different body proportions, but like they're pretty much just, you know, an analogous species.
Remind me, Steven, how many species do you keep in your Montane collection that are like native to where you could go check out in the wild?
3 right here. They're like close by. I mean, you know, down in New Mexico, I could, you know, pretty quickly be into habitat for some of the other stuff that I'm keeping. But yeah, the banded rocks, the mottled rocks, and then the blacktail rattlesnakes are ones that I can find. Like, I mean, they're not easy to find necessarily, but I could be in habitat for them in 15 minutes. So,
all right, wrap up topic time, Marshall. I'll go first, and then we'll hit you with your wrap up question or topic for Steven. I'm gonna just go straight to it, Steven. At the end of the day, like, what are your long term goals when it comes to breeding scrubs, colubrids, or the venomous? Like, what's the long term? Like, what's the one that means? I don't want to say they all. Like one doesn't mean as much as the other, but what's the fucking one that you see in the next 10 years, 15 years, like the longevity project that you have that you keep with that you work with?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably the longevity project would have to be the scrubs, because that's the one that like I'm trying to take to a new level where I feel like with the rattlesnakes and the colubrids, I know that I'm not like the person leading the charge in those communities, and nor do I necessarily need to be. Like for me, the rattlesnakes is almost kind of like the hobby part of my business. Obviously I want it to make money and sustain itself and all that. But like, I don't have aspirations of growing the collection. You know, if I add new species, I'll subtract something else. Like I want to be able to keep it like the size of a bedroom, and that's it. With the colubrids, for me, like I'm so fascinated by so many different colubrid species that kind of my goal is to have just a ton of different pairs of the species that I like, and just get like the exact individuals that I want, hold back a raise up pair when I need to end up replacing the breeding pair that I have, but just be able to enjoy as many different ones as possible. And then with the scrubs, it's kind of like the opposite of both of those, of, you know, establishing lineages, getting multiple generations down the line, promoting them as like, you know, I think scrubs could be, what was it, the number 4 most popular python. Call it ball pythons, green trees, retics, scrub pythons. I think that they could totally fall into that niche, and you know, that's something that I want to try to see happen in the future. I think especially now that the whole myth about their demeanor has essentially been debunked. Like, you can really only go up from here as far as their popularity goes. I mean, I have almost 100 of them, and you know, maybe I can fit on one hand animals that I could like confidently get to bite me right now, and they're all wild caught. So you know, that's like the longevity project. I hope to have all of these different animals forever, and get crocodilians again one day, and you know, who knows where I'll be in 20 years, but the scrub pythons will forever and always be like the main focus of my reptile life.
And I will say what kind of filled that void, because like I like the rush feeling. I'm not gonna lie, I'm an extremist. Like, it's kind of how I was raised up. But like, you know, obviously want to be smart by what I was keeping. And I would say the closest thing I got to giving me like that heart racing feeling is when you have a full grown fucking bar neck around your neck. You know what I'm saying? And then they breathe in your ear, and you just feel like the fucking, but then, you know, like, God, you know, the teeth on this thing, like, you know what it's packing.
Yeah.
And like, you just think like, fuck, this thing this close to my face. Like, what if it just takes a little bite out of my cheek? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm gonna die, but like, you know, the just the thought of it, like, what if this big fucking headed goddamn barneck scrub just decided I'm gonna take your ear off? You know what I'm saying? So, but never happened, dude. Never did anything like that. It was always like, once they were out and they knew there was no food, dude, it was fucking, I could touch them on the head. I could almost do anything to them. I really could.
Yeah, no, they can definitely get your heart rate going at times. So yeah, like if for anyone who wants a species that kind of challenges them, could get them, you know, get the adrenaline pumping without the fear of death, scrub pythons could be great for that. Could fill that niche wonderfully.
For sure. All right, send us home, Marshall. What do you got?
So what is involved with selling venomous snakes? Like, are you allowed to? I mean, obviously they've got to be legal where the person where you're sending them, or the person has to have a license or whatever. But is it? Can you ship them FedEx? Like how? Like what's, you know?
Yeah.
What's the market like?
Yeah. So Delta Cargo is the carrier that currently does venomous shipments. And then, I mean, you know, frankly, I have to imagine all the time animals are going where they're not supposed to be. But from someone who's trying to like uphold the integrity of what they're doing, you know, as a breeder or a seller of venomous reptiles, it's definitely on you to understand the laws that exist in different states around the country, you know, and not, because you can put in your ad, you know your local laws. It's like, okay, sure. And the onus ultimately will be on the buyer. You know, if you sell an animal to somebody and they have it illegally, you know, you're probably not going to get in trouble for doing that. But like, is that something you even want to be involved in to begin with? So, you know, knowing where these animals are going, knowing the local legislation of any of these places. I mean, it's not very difficult to find. You know, all these the state governments all have websites with all of these listings on them. You just got to know how to find them. And then, you know, doing your due diligence on the individual who you're selling it to, you know, looking at their social media and stuff like that, seeing if they do keep venomous. If they do keep venomous, seeing how they keep their venomous. You know, if someone inquired on something and I look at their Instagram and it's just video upon video of them free handling stuff and whatnot, you know, that's not someone who I'm gonna sell to. Frankly, my ideal type of situation would be to like wholesale clutches to people who or litters to people who are more connected and have a network of customers. I don't really necessarily need to be the direct to consumer link in that supply chain. I'd much rather just be having fun producing stuff. And if I'm selling, you know, if I'm wholesaling it at 50 cents on the dollar for some of the stuff I'm producing, but I'm moving it, I'm getting my holdbacks, I'm, you know, everything, like I'm perfectly happy with that. So I guess, yeah, short answer is that's my ideal setup, is to be able to do something like that. But otherwise, it's like selling any other animal or any other snake, just with higher stakes. And you as the seller need to do more due diligence. But the venomous market is much bigger than people would expect who are not involved with it. But it's also very, very regionalized too. So,
Right.
like with green trees, chondros are popular everywhere. Ball pythons are popular everywhere. Venomous is huge in Central Texas and the Carolinas and
Pennsylvania.
Like there's certain in Florida, like there's certain places where there's a huge venomous community, and then there are complete voids of a venomous community. Michigan has a good community. Louisiana and Mississippi, there are keepers there. Arkansas, there's keepers. And then obviously there's states where, like Illinois, like there are no venomous keepers in Illinois. And
Here, Alabama, you can only keep native venomous.
Yeah,
You don't even have to have a permit for that, but supposedly you can get a permit, but like not even the zoo has a permit to keep exotic venomous.
Really?
You can go to the Birmingham Zoo, which is the biggest zoo in the state, and there's no exotic venomous.
Oh, that's pretty lame. So it just comes down to doing a little bit more research, having a better understanding of the laws nationwide and where the hot markets are. So I'm obviously very new to it still, and like I said, if I can do majority wholesale, it's fine by me. So.
Well, fucking right on, dude. It was good to have you on the show.
Thank you guys for having me back. This is a lot of fun.
Looking forward to talking to both of you guys in a couple weeks in person. That's gonna be fun.
Coming up quick.
Yeah,
Marshall's very excited.
Marshall's coming in from Alabama, and then we have Steven driving from Texas.
Yep.
Are you driving in again?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a beautiful drive. Like every minute of that drive is just straight mountains and gorgeous. It's 10 hours, but it's 10 pretty fun hours.
Yeah, and you and Brooke have a good system, right? Like you do half, and then she does half or something like that, right?
Yeah, 100%. No, it's very, very straightforward stuff.
All right, we're gonna have some fun, man. I can't wait.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it.
Drop all your plugs, man. Where people follow you, where people can hit you up at. Go ahead, Steven.
Yeah. So I guess to start, Instagram, Scrub Shepherd, just Stephen Kush on Facebook. Send me a friend request and I'll delete some foreigner and accept you. I'm here every Wednesday, Kush's Corner, Trap Talk, Reptile Network. If you guys could check out those podcasts, that'd be great. Marshall will be on the show in a couple of weeks, unless he backs out in between now and then. But that'll be a fun one, getting the other panel back together. And then YouTube as well. Had it pulled up earlier. It's at Kush Reptile or just under my name on YouTube. I'm there. So yeah, all that stuff. And Morph Market as well. Kush Reptile on Morph Market. Fuck yeah.
All right. All the links in the description below. Check them out. But give it up. It's a wrap for Stephen Kush, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it really a wrap yet?
Time out.
See you in a few weeks.
Give us a Trump outro real quick.
That wasn't a very good prompt for me talking. You got to give me a little bit more than that. I'm not just your puppet. You don't just press go and I go. You don't do that. Ask a real question, not a fake news question like that was.
Do you feel like there is going to be an end to the reptile breeding market at some point?
If it's up to me, there will never be an end to the reptile market. I love reptiles very much. My autistic son, Baron, loves reptiles. He brought one in as a kid, and I said, "What is that, Baron?" He said, "This is a black rat snake. It is not harmful." I said, "You're my son. You're very smart. That's why you know that. What a guy. You're 7 feet tall. That's all my genetics right there. I'm almost 7 feet tall. You can see it on my mugshot. They said 6'11", 225, in wonderful shape." I can't believe how good of a shape he is for being 80-something, much better than Sleepy Joe. Great cognition, good brain, big brain. They say I'm maybe the best. I might be, I might not be, but I definitely am. What was the question?
Give it up for your fucking
That was perfect.
All right, Steven, have a good night, man. Thank you so much.
That was a little Elon salute at the end there. Be careful with that one.
All right, bro. See you later, Steven. Thank you.
Right.
Wow. What a way to end in Steven.
That was good. That was a good way to end it.
That was great, man. Good episode. What'd you think?
Yeah, man. I love I love all the episodes, but the non-Chondro ones are always fun.
Yeah, definitely was a good time. Thanks for coming by tonight, Marshall. As always, Red Mountain Herbs on Instagram, guys. Make sure we give him a follow. But it's a wrap. Give it up for Marshall Mendez, ladies and gentlemen.
See ya.
Later,
Have a
Marshall.
good night.
Yeah, have a good night, buddy. Peace out. Thank you to everyone who tapped in tonight. I had a great time hanging out with Steven and Marshall. Feel like we covered a lot, so do me a favor. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, before you leave, hit the like button, get the likes up, and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Select all. You'll be reminded of every single podcast released out of the network 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. There's a new episode being dropped here on the Trap Talk Reptile Network. And just to remind you all, you can listen to all these episodes on all the major audio platforms. Okay, so don't forget to rate, review, subscribe on all those platforms as well. And of course, if you're looking for exclusive content, if you want to get more out of what you see out of each episode, get more behind the scenes, come join the Trap Talk Patreon family tonight. Don't even waste time. First link in the description below. Connect to the Discord, connect to the Instagram group chat. All right, got new merch. That's right, new merch dropping. It's going to be epic. All right, before you guys leave, check out the sponsors. Have a good night. Sorry for the interruption, folks, but a quick word from our sponsors. Green tree pythons, emerald tree boas, and plenty other arboreal snakes have been quite the popularity here at the Trap Talk Reptile Network, which brings me to today's sponsor, the Reptile Perch. Head over to the reptileperch.com and Reptile Perch on Instagram. See what type of design PVC perch is best for your arboreal reptile. But first and foremost, I would also check out David Brom's Green Tree Python availability on the website. And you can also check out his Instagram just to stay current on any projects or any productions that he posts. Thank you so much, David Broms, for your ongoing support. Looking forward to seeing what you have to show in the 2025 season. When you think about building a good community and being a leader of that community, nobody comes to mind better than Mark Hager over at Texas Chondros. That's right. Make sure you head over to TX Chondros on Instagram and also head over to Mark's website. See what he has available Green Tree Python wise and be ready for quite the 2025 Green Tree Python breeding season out of Mark Hager. He's a veteran in the Green Tree Python game, one of the best and nicest breeders in the Green Tree Python game. He's been putting on the whole state of Texas for as long as I've known him. So if you want to see all the amazing other chondro keepers out of the state of Texas, another good reason to go follow Mark Hager over at TX Chondros on Instagram. And again, head over to his website, texaschondros.com. You can find all the links in the description below. Thank you so much, Mark Hager, for supporting the Trap. One of the biggest growths we have in the reptile industry today are the rare species of reptiles that aren't worked with. That's right. That's why I went ahead and partnered up again with Brian Susan over at SUNDOWN Reptiles. Brian works with species such as kahua geckos, gargoyle geckos, all species of tree monitors. He works with Abronia and many other cool species geckos that you can check out all on his website. Head over to sundownreptiles.com, see what he has available. Brian's one of the best doing it in the reptile industry today. He's been on the show multiple times, so make sure you check out all of Brian Susan's episodes on Trap Talk Reptile Network. But more importantly, for the highest quality of captive bred reptiles, make sure you head over to sundownreptiles.com and make sure you give him a follow on Instagram. Thank you again, Brian Susan over at Sundown Reptiles. One of the things I love about being a part of the reptile industry is all the learning, okay? Learning can be fun, and I can prove that to you. Thank you so much to today's sponsor. It's Gary Scavino over at GS Reptiles. I highly recommend you head over to his YouTube channel, follow all this man's content when it comes to learning about rare species of snakes you could be keeping in the hobby, and also just finding out how easy a lot of these rare species of snakes are to keep in general. So thank you so much, Gary Scavino of GS Reptiles. Again, head over to his YouTube channel. Also head over to his Instagram to be on top of all of his current work and be ready for a big year over at GS Reptiles. Thank you so much, Gary, for your ongoing support. I really appreciate it.